Hey, it's Tim. This is Quantum Komposer, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use AUTOM. AUTOM is a 16-slot, 8-scene automation generator, which means you can use it to control parameters over the duration of your song. I have an instance of control at the bottom here and an instance of AUTOM at the top. Let's have a look at the AUTOM menu. You have a range of functions that you can use AUTOM for, and I can toggle the menu system with the shift button. On the top left I can set up scenes, and at the moment it has no scenes. We can generally set up our scenes in control because it will synchronize the scene durations with all Quantum Komposer instances. So I can click the update scenes button to update the scenes in AUTOM, and we can change the scene duration, and that will change the scene duration in control and in AUTOM and in every other Quantum Komposer instance. Let's set up a few more scenes by selecting the scene and dialing in a duration. So we'll now have 5 scenes. Coming back to the menu system, the next thing you'll want to do is set up some automation slots, some destinations. So click on AUTOM Setup, and here we see the 16 available slots. There's one already established, which is volume, channel 1, CC7. And I can set up additional slots by clicking on the slot and setting a MIDI channel, a CC value, a label, and a color. So I've got this first slot set to volume on channel 1, MIDI channel 1, CC7. And if we have a look over in AUM's MIDI control for my channel called channel 1, you'll see that volume is set to channel 1, CC7. So that's what I'm going to automate with this, this slot. Coming back to the menu system, I can apply a range of functions to automate my automation slot. The easiest ones are these yellow ones down the bottom, which apply a ramp over the entire scene, the selected scene. So you can see currently it's set to scene 5, A1, which is automation slot 1, channel 1, CC7, so that's the scene and the destination. And the ramp is a minimum, and the minimum is 0. The next slot is the same destination, but a mid value, which is currently 63. And the third destination is a max value, which is 127. All of these are for the same destination. And then we have a ramp going from 0 to 127 and a ramp going for 127 to 0 over the duration of the scene. So if we come over here and adjust the range, you can now see that the mid, max and ramps have changed to accommodate the minimum and maximum ranges. To apply this automation, all we need to do is tap the pad. So that's done. Now in scene 5 we have a ramp from 0 to 90. If we wanted to do that on scene 1, we can just bring the edit scene back down to scene 1, and now we're editing scene 1, and we'll do a ramp from 0 to 90 on scene 1. If we come back down to our control and select scene 1 and we press play, we can see that over the course of the 4 bars it will go up from 0 to 90, and then it repeats because we're locked to scene 1 and it's looping scene 1. So let's stop that and come back to the menu system. Now let's change to scene 2 and Let's set a mid value for scene 2, and if we select scene 2 and press play, we'll see that volume is locked at the value of 45. So going back to the menu system again, let's select scene 3, and this time we want to apply some automation, but we don't want to just be limited to these ramps over the whole scene. So if we want to edit our automation in more detail, we can come into the automation editor. So we click on this button, and we're now back in the slots view, and if we click on a slot instead of editing it, we will go into the editor, and here I can set my scene, and when I go to the scene, it will show me the automation for the currently selected slot. So in this case, it's channel 1 CC7 automation slot 1, and it's scene 1 bars 1 to 4 of 4. Now we set a ramp up from 0 to 90, and if you follow bar 1 beat 1 across from the left to the right, you can see that the knob value showing the automation at each beat is represented by the knob value, and it's ramping from 0 to 90. In scene 2, it's set to a fixed value of 45. In scene 3, it's not doing anything. So now we can do all sorts of things. We can edit our automation per step, per beat, if you like, and if there's more than 4 bars, you can scroll through the bars with this knob here. This knob here has some built-in ramps, so if you want to set it to a low, let's set a minimum of 20, and if I move the dial and set it to a low, it set the automation for this scene in these 4 bars to a value of 20. So let's have a look at some of the other options. You can set it to the mid value, the high value, and this is similar to what we have here, except that in this case it's just doing it for the 4 bars. We can have an on-off, which is basically an on at the max and an off at the min, and then there is an up-down, so it'll ramp up and back down in the 4 bars. You can go up 4 times, so it's basically going up over each beat. You can go down over each beat. You can go up over 4 bars, up in 1. You can go down in 1. With it set to down in 1, you can see that it's going to ramp from 90 down to 0. If we change the range somewhat and reset it to down in 1, we're now going from 64 down to 23 in scene 3 over bars 1 to 4. So that's automation is now set. So let's now come back to scene 4, and if we change that to 8 bars, and we come back into the AUTOM editor and go into channel 1 CC7 for volume, we're on scene 4, and you'll see up here it says bars 1 to 4 of 8. So let's say we wanted to create a ramp up and then down. So we could go, and we'll do this from 0 to 127. So we can go up in 1 over the first 4 bars, and you can see that scene 4 starts at bar 13, and then if we now want to ramp back down in the bars 5 to 8 of scene 4, and we can scroll through to different bars of our automation with the begin knob. So we're beginning in bar 13, but if we scroll through, we can begin on bar 14, 15, 16, 17, and it tells me up here that I'm on bars 4 to 7 of 8. So if I scroll to the end, I'm now on bars 5 to 8 of 8. And now what I can do is select down in one, and I'm now going to go from 127 back down to 0 over those 4 bars. So if we bring the begin knob, you can see that we can scroll through our automation. It's going to start at 0, ramp up to 127 here, and then it's going to ramp from 127 back down to 0. So let's come back to our song, and we'll select scene 1, and we'll press play, and we'll see some automation happening. That's scene 1. Scene 2 was a static at set to 45. Scene 3 was a slow ramp down in a narrow range. And scene 4, we're going to go up over 4 bars to the very top, and then come back down. A couple of last things. You can see that if we go into the menu system, I can disable the automation. So with automation disabled, it just stops moving. I can re-enable it at any point. There is a smoothing on, and with that off, it just jumps per beat. With smoothing on, it interpolates positions in between beats. And then down here you've got some options to delete automation for a particular scene and a particular slot, or for all slots for a particular scene, or just delete everything. Since recording the AUTOM video, I have made some changes to how the app works. You can see now that we have a purple mode setup button, and pressing that toggles the next pad through its 3 different modes. Mode setup is for just setting up your destination slots. So selecting a destination slot, you just select the channel label, CC and color. If you toggle it once, you come into control mode, and by going in here, the bottom left CC is now set to control, which means that if I select a destination, I can use this knob to send out the MIDI CC, in this case channel 9 CC1 filter cutoff, to whatever instrument I have. In this case it's a bass instrument. So if I have 16 destination slots here, you can use this as a bit of a macro control panel, so you can touch a pad and then control that element of your song or whatever parameter it's mapped to by tapping a button and then turning a knob. So let's press play, and so that I can control filter cutoff for my bass patch there, and I can control that parameter just by tapping and turning the dial, as I said. But if we come back to the mode button and press it one more time, it goes to record mode. And if we go into the AUTOM record mode, it looks the same, but the bottom left dial is now set to record, which means that if we press play, we can record our information in the same way that we were playing it previously. So let's press play. Okay, so now if we come out of here and go into the editor for filter cutoff, scene 1, lane 1, we can see that this automation has been recorded into the slots here, and if we press playback, you can hear that the recorded automation is being played back. And toggling it one more time goes back to setup mode. So there are your three modes: setup, control, and record. You use this button to toggle, and then the button to the right of it to go in and play it. So hope that helps. I think it's a good improvement. I feel it's working better for me. That's it for AUTOM. I'll see you in the next one.